What's up, everybody? Spot the Gym and enjoy with Jason the Old Millennial and Bry's music showcase once again. And this time we're ranking the the 3 studio albums from the Jimi Hendrix experience. And also after we rank them, we're going to talk about our favourite song from each of the albums, each of the 3 albums. We're looking forward to doing this. Are you guys excited for this?
Yeah, it's a pretty good week.
It's really
Rock and roll, rock and roll. Good luck, guys. I'll be listening. See you in a bit.
It's live now.
All right, is it?
Yeah, it's live now.
Okay.
you're on.
I'm a bit late.
We'll keep the bloopers in.
Edit that a bit. See you in a bit.
Yeah. But yeah, we're ranking the Jimi Hendrix albums. And I've got Jason and Bry's channel in the description below. And I've only heard all these albums once. It's my first time listening to all of them. But I've got a best of Jimi Hendrix behind me, so I knew most of the hits. But there were still a few songs I wasn't familiar with. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this. How long have you guys been listening to Jimi Hendrix for?
So for me, I've always, of course, when you're in the world of rock, of course, Jimi Hendrix gets brought up a lot, especially on like many lists about who's the greatest guitarist, whoever lived, and usually Jimmy is usually on the top. So I've always heard of him. I know a lot of the hits prior to this, and he's not one of my go-tos. Like, if my personal opinion, like I wouldn't put Jimmy at number one, but when you put yourself in the mindset of when he first came onto the scene, like, it must have been really mind-blowing. Just like, he was just doing stuff that nobody else was doing at the time, and so many people copied him afterwards. So he's definitely earned his legacy in terms of guitar playing. So I've always respected him. Again, not one of my go-tos, but I've always enjoyed his playing.
Yeah.
I agree.
I have one of his albums, so I've listened to that one quite a bit and really like that one. The other 2 albums I'm not as familiar with, so yeah, going back to those 2, I was still kind of learning about it. I'm still I feel like a novice, even though he only has 3 albums, so it's not hard to kind of catch up with Jimi Hendrix, in that way. I did a poll this last week on who's the best rock guitar player, and Jimi Hendrix was overwhelmingly the best on there. I mean, he got like over half, I think, of the votes went to Jimi Hendrix, which I totally agree. I think he's the best rock guitar player I've ever heard. I'm still, and this is like late 60s, and I'm still like amazed when I listen to his music and go, how did he get that sound? And I play guitar, and I was like, I have no idea how he gets those sounds out of that guitar. That's just amazing.
His music still ahead of its time today.
Yeah. Oh, it's so time. It's just amazing.
He's definitely my favorite guitarist of all time as well. Yeah. So I guess we could start with ranking the albums then. But and usually let Bryer go first when it's us 3. But for a change, I'll let you go first, Jason.
All right. So you want me to go number 3, and then we'll go
number 3.
Yeah. So number 3 on. At least they're all top 3 albums, but. It's funny, but yeah, 3rd to me as Axis Bold of Love, the 2nd album, is to me by far the weakest of the 3, and it's just because it doesn't really have any big hits on it. From what I heard of it, I wasn't really familiar with any of the songs on it, and even though there's some decent songs on there, it's just really missing any real big hit, in my opinion. So that's why, to me, it had to be number 3.
All right. Yeah, and kind of bouncing, because my number 3 is also Axis Bold as Love. I actually got this very recently. It was at a record store. I just picked it up. So kind of the same thing Jason has. Like, there wasn't really any big major hit on here aside from Little Wing, which is kind of a classic.
Is it?
To most people, that's usually the big standout track on here. So obviously by this point, there's a bit more experimentation comparing to the debut. He's starting to incorporate a lot of sci-fi themes, because apparently Jimmy was a big sci-fi fan, so kind of incorporate a lot of that stuff in here. And he started to bring guests. Like I'm sure I think Graham Nash was part of these sessions at a couple times. Like I think he provided like foot stomping on the song if six was nine. And then I think he also provides some backing vocals on "You Got Me Floating." You can't really hear him though, but it's just on those two songs. But it's kind of interesting. But yeah, there's some nice songs on here. Like "Up from the Sky" is pretty good, and I already mentioned "Little Wing." "Ain't No Telling" is like a nice, quick little rock number. "Castle Made of Sand," which is kind of an interesting one because lyrically it's kind of Jimmy's most autobiographical, because he's kind of singing about his childhood, kind of moving from different place to place, growing up. So like the sand is kind of representing like, you know, when you build a sandcastle, eventually it's gonna go down. So that's kind of what Jimmy must have felt, just moving from place to place, going from different schools a lot of the time. That's kind of cool. It has one song sung by Noel Redding on here for some reason, and I kind of don't know why they let him sing. Yeah,
It's always odd when someone else sings, isn't it? Or
yeah, I know. It's just like, why? I mean, he's not bad, but it's not bad. It's just called "She's So Fine," and that's kind of what the song is. It's fine, but it's kind of, you know, Jimmy kind of has the more distinct vocal style, so that kind of fits the whole overall theme.
Yeah,
but yeah, like it's again, there's some good stuff on here, but it's my number 3, so that's all I gotta say.
Well, I've actually got a different number 3, but
okay.
We'll get to it soon. The other 3 the same ranking. Well, you two might, but I've got a different ranking. My number 3 is Electric Ladyland.
Okay.
1968. I still think it's a really great album, though. I'm not the biggest fan of the way it begins. I think the first track is just okay, but it does get better. Does get better from there. I think my favourite side is probably the second side. I'd probably say. Yeah, I think it's a really great album. Maybe it didn't have to be a double album, but I'm still fine with it being a double album. You've got a couple of really long songs here.
Yeah.
I think the longest one, 1983. And the Merman should turn to be. I think it's about 14 minutes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still, yeah. I think overall this is a pretty great Jimi Hendrix album. It's just the one I go back to the least. I think it's his most experimental one. Maybe that's why it's not any higher, because I don't know. I just think they're a bit too experimental for me at times. But yeah, it's a really enjoyable album.
That's fair.
All right. All right. So my number 2.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, my number 2 is Electric Ladyland, the third album that he came out with. Yeah, and this is one I wasn't that familiar with, except I knew there was one big song on here that's like definitely like maybe my second favorite Jimi Hendrix song of all time. I mean, I feel like it has to be your top 2 almost in just about anybody's, you know, and maybe the greatest cover song of all time as well. But I wasn't really familiar with a lot of the other songs, and I really found myself really enjoying a lot of the songs on here. I thought it was really quite good. So this was kind of a nice, I don't want to say surprise, but like, I don't know. It's just, I wasn't sure, because Jimi Hendrix, he can kind of, if he hits the right tone of the guitar and the song and the vocals and everything, it's really good. But sometimes it's almost too guitar heavy, and I don't like it as much. It feels like he's just jamming, and I'm like, it doesn't feel like a real song. I don't know if that makes sense. But sometimes someone like Jimi Hendrix, who's so good at guitar, I mean, they just go overboard with it because they're so good. Which is like, yeah, it's great guitar playing, but I like a little more, you know, catchiness to the choruses and the melodies and stuff like that. But overall, yeah, there was a lot of good songs on here. So it's definitely one I think I probably have to get at some point and check out more.
All right. Okay, well, I'm going to be a little different as well. My number 2, I'm going to go with Are You Experienced, the debut. and it's a landmark album. You can't deny that, because it was pretty huge. There were so many like big hits on here, like Purple Haze, Hey Joe, which was a cover. There was also Foxy Lady was also pretty well known. So yeah, you can't deny how landmark it really was in terms of guitar work and all that stuff. And it's probably the not really basic, but it's kind of the more straightforward album, because it's very much blues rock. It's a little bit of psychedelic rock, which is, again, all very good stuff. Yeah, don't really have too much else to add to it, but again, it's a classic one, and it's the only one I don't have. I really should get it.
You gotta get that one.
Yeah, I gotta get at some point, but yeah, it's a great album. Other songs that weren't hits that I also liked. I also like Manic Depression. It has a really cool drum rhythm by Mitch Mitchell, who in his own right is a very regarded drummer. Like listening to the whole catalog, you really tell just what a great drummer that Mitch Mitchell was. Love or Confusion is a good one. May This Be Love, nice little slower song. Again, it has a great pounding. The sound of the drums on that track is also really good, and a nice solo by Jimmy on here. Don't Live Today, which was dedicated to American Indians and other minority groups, just has a nice little message to it. Probably my favorite of the ballads is probably The Wind Cries Mary, which is another really, really nice song.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's pretty much big highlights for me. But yeah, it's a good album. Just missed out at number one just by a hair.
Right, we'll get to my number two, which is Axis Bold as Love from 1967. I think this one, a bit like with the Electric Ladyland album, I don't think it starts the best, but I think after the first track, I think all of them are amazing to perfect songs in my opinion. When Bryer was talking earlier, I was a bit shocked because of the song when you mentioned She's So Fine. I just looked at the song ranking for the album. It's one of my favourite songs from the album.
Okay.
I'm surprised how high I had it.
Yeah.
It's my third favourite song from the album.
Okay.
I didn't realise I liked it that much.
All right. That's fine. That's cool.
Yeah, still do really enjoy that song. I think the album's just brilliant from start to finish, really. I don't really think there's a lot of filler in it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the middle part of the album's probably the best part, though, more than the first in that song. But yeah, it's definitely one I wouldn't mind listening to again. It's my number two. It's not quite my favourite, but I still think it's an amazing album. I think it's a very underrated one.
Yeah.
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 All right, number one.
All right, number one. The one album I own, one of the first records I bought when I got a record player. I had to get this.
Yeah.
Our experience. I mean,
iconic cover as well.
I mean, if you want psychedelic rock, you got to get this album. Like when I listen to this album, I'm like, man, that's psychedelic rock at its best, in my opinion. And guitar playing at its best. I mean, when I listen to a lot of these songs, I'm just like, I'm so blown away. And I feel like 90% of his best songs are on this album. I mean, there are so many really great songs on here. I'm sure, we'll discuss here in a bit. And Bryer talked about some of those already, but so many amazing songs on here. There's like two songs I don't like as much because it's just too long. I think one's called Third Rock. Well, I have it right here. I think it's is it like Third Stone or something?
Third Stone from the Sun.
Yeah, like Third Stone from Sun, I think is one I'm not a fan of because there's just too much playing. And if I remember right, it's kind of a longer song. And I don't know, I Don't Live Today. I don't remember that one, but I think that was another one I did enjoy. But everything else, though, was just top-notch Jimi Hendrix, in my opinion. And to me, an easy number one in his discography of 3 albums.
Right. Cool. Very cool. Okay, and then my number one is going to be Electric Ladyland. So this is the one I've owned the longest. This was actually the first one I bought. So I do have I am more familiar with this one than pretty much the other two. But to me, this is basically his creatively. This is pretty much his peak, you would say. because he would die just a couple years later, so we don't really know what else he could have done after this one. But yeah, it's one of those big tragic losses. But yeah, but this was definitely a great one to go out on. Like creatively, this was just him just really pushing the boundaries even further. So this one is actually funny because he actually produced it himself. This is the first time he actually produced a whole album. Ton of guest stars on here. I already forgot who was here, but I know there's some very big names that was involved with this one. Let me just pull up. Steve Winwood was in here. He played organ on some tracks. Al Cooper, famous percussionist.
Yeah.
Jack Cassidy from Jefferson Airplane, and Brian Jones from the Rolling Stones provided percussion at some point. So yeah, it was just like I think I read an interview with Noel Redding, and he said it was a circus recording the album because of just how many people were coming and going. Of course, ironically, Noel wasn't even as committed at this point because he was kind of working on other stuff. So a lot of the bass playing was actually done by Jimmy himself, which is kind of interesting. Yeah, and you don't really notice it too much, honestly. But I think Jimmy's also a pretty good bass player, if I'm going to be honest. But yeah, just it's a long album. It's a double album, but I think there's just some great stuff on here. Like, I kind of agree. It kind of starts out kind of okay with that again, with the whole sci-fi thing again that he did on the last album, but everything after that, it starts getting interesting. Like, have you ever been to Electric Ladyland? It's just a nice, cool, very soulful, kind of sets the mood kind of a song, which is very cool. Crosstown Traffic's good hard blues number. Voodoo Child, which is the 15 that first long song on here, and it's kind of a jam session, but I kind of like that sort of stuff, so it doesn't really bother me. And again, Steve Winwood plays the organ on it, and definitely adds some great texture to it. Then you have another Noel Redding song with Little Miss Strange, which is kind of I kind of like it better than She's So Fine, but still kind of the same problem I have with it. I'm gonna skip through some of these. Gypsy Eyes was pretty cool, another bluesy one. Burning Up the Midnight Lamp is a nice good standout. Another psychedelic track, and I like the harpsichord on it, especially during the intro, I like it. 1983, another kind of his jab at jazz fusion, which I'm into, so I like that one. And we've kind of already brushed upon the big major hit on here, which is the Bob Dylan cover, which, like Jason has said, is probably one of the greatest covers of all time. I mean, even Bob Dylan himself has said, when he heard the Jimi Hendrix version, he was like, okay, that's your song now. It's not my song anymore. So that's good. And it finishes out with Voodoo Child, which is another kind of, another standout of his. Many people seem to like that one a lot, which is a good way to close the album. Yeah. So yeah, that's my number one for me.
Am I right in saying it started out as a trio, but didn't they kind of break up towards the end? They didn't get along, I feel like.
Yeah,
there's more Jimi Hendrix in the end.
I think it was. I know Noel. He was definitely had the most issue. I think because he was, again, like I said, he was kind of, by this point he was kind of not really as committed to the band. I feel like Mitch Mitchell was the only one of the two of them that kind of really stuck around the whole time.
I felt like I remember reading something about them not getting along or something, and Jimi Hendrix maybe had big ego and he kind of took over everything, and they're like, hey, we're in the band too, but
yeah, I don't doubt that, but yeah, but like I said, Mitch kind of was the most team player.
I didn't know I had that many guest stars on.
If you go on Wikipedia, there's tons more I didn't mention.
I didn't realize Hendrix had the bass playing.
Yeah.
He did that bit of a job. I didn't realize.
Yeah, again, sometimes you can't really tell, but yeah, he does a pretty good job.
Yeah. Good question. Which one of you is the biggest fan of? Joni Hendrix.
Oh man, I don't know that person.
Jimi Hendrix's cousin? No.
Maybe long lost sister.
No.
Oh right.
Okay, that explains it.
Which one's a big Hendrix fan? I don't know, because me and Bryer are kind of like not huge, but I don't know
We
what's.
probably have to do a Jimi Hendrix quiz to find out.
So I don't know if Adam's a bigger fan. I don't know if any of us are like huge fans, but we're all fans. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know either.
but I'll get to my favourite Jimi Hendrix Experience album. That is Are You Experience from 1967. It's his debut. And it's one of the best debuts of all time.
Yeah.
I think
Mhm.
it's a perfect album. I think every single song is near perfect. And the two I'm not the biggest fan of are the ones that Jason mentioned,
Okay.
being
Yeah.
I Don't Live Today and Third Stone from the Sun. But every other one is it's one of my favorite Jimi Hendrix songs. I think it's an incredible album. I might get it on vinyl at some point. I'm
Yeah.
not really sure yet. At the moment,
Yeah.
I'm just fine with the best of Jimi Hendrix. But at some point, I might get the album. I just think it's an album that's definitely paced very well.
Same here.
To feel like time flies when I was listening to it. I just think it's full of so many amazing hits, and in my opinion, it's definitely his best album. Yeah, it's my number one.
I agree.
Yeah. So I guess now we can talk about our favourite song from each of these albums. So we'll start with Ira Experience as it's the first one. And I'll let you go first, Jason. What's your favourite song from Ira Experience?
Oh, I mean, Purple Haze is to me a top 10 best rock song of all time. My favorite Jimi Hendrix song of all time. That's that beginning to it's the like one of the greatest intros to the song.
Yeah, I agree.
That beginning guitar riff of bum 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 ba da da da, like, oh, it's so good. When you get into that, you're like, oh my gosh, you're really into the song. Like, man, this is amazing. And just before you even start singing, but I mean, I look at this and I think like Purple Haze, Hey Joe, The Wind Cries Mary, Fire, Foxy Lady. I mean, I'm guessing those 5 have to be on the Greatest Hits album, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm no doubt. They got to.
Are they?
I think there might even be a couple more than that.
Yeah, and like I like All You Experience, May This Be, Manic Depression are all really good songs as well. But
Yeah,
I mean, it's almost like a greatest hits album on its own. Just listen to this album, I think, in my opinion. I mean, I love all these songs. Like I said, that I mentioned. I mean, Foxy Lady, I just that beginning too is so great, and then
yeah,
it's a famous scene from Wayne's World as well. And I always remember that scene on Wayne's World where Garth plays he's trying to impress a woman. It's actually in his mind. It doesn't really happen. He's just imagining this is what he would do to impress a woman. And he would put Foxy Lady on and lip sync to it, to this really good looking woman, and dance to it. And I remember hearing that and I was like, I thought it was a funny song. And then I listened to it on here and I'm like, man, this is just amazing song guitar wise. And it's fun to sing to though. Foxy Lady. I don't know. It's so great. And Hey Joe, I thought it was such an interesting song. I remember hearing it for the first time and being like, did he just say he's gonna kill his old lady? Like I was like, man, this is, I don't know. To me, that was kind of crazy. I guess as a kid when I first heard, I don't know what it was like. It's a cover song, I guess, like you said.
It was a cover. Yeah.
To me, I don't know what that's like at the time to hear that. That's kind of, I don't know what to say. That's kind of crazy lyrics, you know. Hey Joe, what are you doing with that gun in your hand? Oh, I'm gonna go shoot my lady down. Wow, okay. Good luck, I guess.
Yeah.
That was kind of a dark song, kind of in a way, but so great. I mean, I think that's, like I said, that's up there. Some of the greatest songs of all time, in my opinion. But yeah, I'll let someone else talk. I can.
Yeah, this was I think out of all the albums, this was actually like the debut is kind of the hardest album to pick a song from because there's just so many big well-known songs on here. And Jason's already mentioned some of the contenders already, but I think it's probably gonna change. But I think for right now, I'm gonna go with Foxy Lady as my favorite. Yeah, it's just a great catchy number, just a classic track. And again, the Foxy Lady, how he says it, is just you're always waiting for it. It's like every time he pauses, you're like waiting for it. It's like yeah, once he actually hits it. But yeah, it's a great song. I don't have a whole lot to say, but yeah, that's my favorite right now, at least.
My favorite is actually Hey Joe,
Okay.
Oh,
even though the lyrics for it are very dark, definitely. But the reason why it's find more information on it. There it is. But the reason why it's my favorite because I really like the chilled vibe it gives you,
Yeah.
and I really like the backing vocals on this as well.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's excellent guitar playing. I mean, you wouldn't expect anything less from probably the best, greatest guitarist of all time. And it was originally by Billy Roberts in 1966. I think he originally wrote it.
mm-hmm.
I've never heard the original, to be honest.
No, I've never heard the original.
Yeah.
It's probably the catchiest song from I've experienced. It's one that got stuck in my head the most.
Mm-hmm.
But there are so many incredible songs from the album. I could have gone with May This Be Love or The Wind Cries Mary or Foxy Lady or I've Experienced a Purple Haze. Yeah, they're probably my favourites after this one.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. That's great. It's an incredible song. So I guess we'll now move on to Axis Ball is Love, our
Ball is
favourite album. So you go first, Jason.
Okay. I only wrote down 3 songs from this album that I really enjoyed. And to tell you the truth, if you told me how they sounded, I couldn't tell you because I only listened to the album like once. And so I know I like these 3 songs down as I was listening. But it was Wait Until Tomorrow, Ain't No Telling, and Little Wing were the 3 I wrote down that I quite enjoyed. Though I couldn't tell you what they were on top of my head. I just remember liking them. And Bryer, I guess you said Little Wing was kind of a big one off of here. So I wrote it down, so I enjoyed it. So I guess I'm somewhat close to what were the good songs I hopefully are on here. But I don't have a lot to say. They're just not. I'm not familiar with them as much.
Yeah, kind of a similar boat. Like this one, I've only listened to this one and I probably like sampled them before we came on here. I kind of quickly sampled them, but even that I still can't like name the tune, say the melody or something like that.
Yeah.
But I pretty much agreed with some of your top 3, except I'm going to change one of them. Like Little Wing is probably my favorite because I think it's probably the most melodically it's the most like the one I can see myself going back to. And, lyrically it's actually kind of sweet because he's actually singing about like an angel like figure, and I don't know, it's kind of a hopeful kind of sound that I think. But yeah, I also really like to Wait Until Tomorrow. I think musically that's one of the more catchy numbers on here. But for my and I'll say one more, and I kind of mentioned it already, but I also really enjoyed Castle Made of Sand. Like I said, it was kind of one of his more, I guess, personal tracks. So that one kind of really stood out to me. But again, I don't have that. I can't really name anything else here because I probably need to re-listen to it. But as of now, those are my top 3.
My favourite is Little Wing.
Okay.
One of my favourite Jimi Hendrix songs.
Okay. Yeah.
It's got a very melancholic melody and it's got fantastic and smooth guitar playing. It's a very slow song, but I'm perfectly fine with that. And it's got awesome drumming here as well. Definitely love the drumming in this. I don't know what it is. It's some sort of sound to Jimi Hendrix vocals that makes it quite psychedelic at times. I'm not sure what they use for that, but it's quite a short song. It's just under 3 minutes, and it's one of his shorter songs. But I still think it's a song that builds up, and I still think it's an incredible song. One of my favorite Hendrix songs. Yeah, I absolutely love Little Wing.
Right. Then on to Electric Ladyland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say I'm also a big fan of the song Wait Until Tomorrow. And
okay. Yeah.
She's the kind as well. Yeah. But yeah.
All 3 had.
Yeah. So that's your lady down, Jason. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, all on the Watchtowers. To me, probably my second favorite, right behind Purple Haze. And again, that beginning, when that when that beginning starts, you know the song. I mean, you're like, wow, okay,
Yeah.
this is all along the Watchtower, and
Oh yeah.
another great, just absolute amazing intro. And of course, it's a Bob Dylan song, which the Bob Dylan song's not bad either. It's a decent song, but yeah, he definitely elevates it to another level that you're almost like, oh, this is the same song. Like it's it's crazy how he can take a song and I mean a folk song and make it one of the best psychedelic rock songs of all time. Very interesting lyrically, of course, Bob Dylan, and all that, and one of the great guitar solos. Obviously, I think if you look up great guitar solos, I'm sure that's up there. I really love the Voodoo Child Slight Return, which is like the last song. Because there's a Voodoo Child, but if I remember right, it was like a really long song.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't into that one. But then when they did Voodoo Child Slight Return, it was only like a 5-minute song, I think, or 6 minutes. And I really liked that song. I was like, and I feel like I've heard it before, but I'm like, I feel like I've heard this before, but maybe I'm crazy. But I was like, or maybe it just sounds a lot like other Jimi Hendrix songs. But man, I thought that was really good. And Come On, Let the Good Times Roll, I really enjoyed. That was one I wasn't as familiar with, and I was like, man, I really like this song. So that was kind of nice hearing some songs I wasn't familiar with and going, man, this is some good stuff. But yeah, he had some other ones that I thought were pretty good. Like I think he said Gypsy Eyes, I enjoyed quite a bit.
Yeah.
Crosstown Traffic, I enjoyed quite a bit. Little Miss Strange and House Burning Down were other ones I wasn't familiar with, and I was like, I kind of enjoyed these songs.
All right, cool. So yeah, I'm not going to be too out of the ordinary here. My number one is going to be all along the Watchtower. When I think Jimi Hendrix, it's usually that song. That's the first thing I think of. It's just that intro and that the guitar intro is just absolutely incredible. Just a great cover of Bob Dylan right there. So I don't have much else to add with that. If I were to give like the honorable mentions, like I would say Burning of the Midnight Lamp, because again, it was just the harpsichord that really was like the real hook on that one that I really enjoyed. Great little psychedelic track as well. And probably I'll mention one more, like I guess for my number 3, like in the top 3, I'd say Voodoo Child Slight Return as well, because again, it's a great closing track with the last one you do. And so yeah, that's probably the song that I'll mention.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. We've got quite a few things on the chat here. We've got Garrett from Salad Studio saying that Purple Haze is running through his brain. Yes, it's a very catchy song.
Oh man.
We're ranking the 3 Jimi Hendrix studio albums, and now we're talking about our favourite song from each of those albums. A Little Wing is a great song, yeah, it definitely is. So great idea for live stream, nice to watch. Thank you. I don't think I've seen that person in the chat before.
I've seen them before, not on my channel, but on somebody else's channel.
We've also got Rich saying, hope you're all doing well. Nice to see you get into Jimi Hendrix. Yeah. I'm glad I listened to all his albums for this.
Yeah, same.
And yeah, soon with Garrett, we're doing top 10 ELO songs. I think that's on your live stream, Jason.
Yeah, we're playing that Saturday. The 11th was plan is.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, my list has been ready for like a month now.
I know, mine's been ready now.
That'll get to my favourite song of Electric Ladyland. Yeah, it's all on the Watchtower. Yeah, it's a classic. It's originally by Bob Dylan, and it came out. The original version came out in 1967. I think this has got Jimi Hendrix's best guitar playing, my opinion on this song, and also his best vocals as well. I think he's a very underrated singer.
Yeah.
It's got phenomenal instrumentation throughout this song, and it's always been my favourite Jimi Hendrix song. So all Watchtower's my favourite Jimi Hendrix song. It's hard to believe it's a cover.
Yeah,
well.
I know, right? Yeah, he just made his own.
I think I heard this version before I heard the Bob
Yeah,
Dylan
same.
version, to be honest.
I mean, you see this, you hear the song in any Vietnam film.
Yeah.
This is probably the Jimi Hendrix song I've heard the longest as well. I heard it even though I was playing a video game called Mafia 3. It
Yeah.
was one of the songs on it.
Really.
And that was in
Ah.
2016. So I've known this song for quite a while. Yeah, it's always been my favourite Jimi Hendrix song. I think it probably always will be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Top 2 for me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But Dylan has actually begun to play all the Watchtower.
Yeah.
Good
That's true,
version,
yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah. He
I've
changed
seen
it.
the version.
Yeah.
Oh, it's from Reaction to the Classics.
Yeah. I was gonna say I know I've seen
Oh,
him
okay.
before.
Yeah, I recognise him now. It's from Reaction to the Classics.
Yeah.
I think I've seen his comments on that channel a few times.
Yeah.
But while we're here in the live stream, I've actually got my top 10 Jimi Hendrix songs written down, so I might as well read about what they are.
All right.
So my number 10 is Voodoo Child's Slight Return.
Okay.
My number 9 is Foxy Lady. My number 8 is The Wind Cries Mary. My number 7 is Crosstown Traffic.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
My number 6 is May This Be Love. My number 5 is Wait Until Tomorrow. My number 4 is Hey Joe. My number 3, in my opinion, this is the most underrated Jimi Hendrix song. It's Burning of the Midnight Lamp.
Okay.
Mm.
I already mentioned that.
Yeah.
And my number 2 is Little Wing. And my number 1 is All on the Watchtower. I don't have Purple Haze in there, Jason.
Yeah, I noticed that. Number plays.
That's probably my number 12 and number 11 or 12.
I was like, wait a minute.
Maybe if I listen to it more, could be in my top 10 somewhere. I've only listened to that one a few times.
Okay.
Mm.
It's a classic, that song, though.
Oh
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's it with the studio albums and just what I favourite song from each of them. I enjoyed discussing about Jimi Hendrix then.
Yeah, this was good.
Pretty short one for because it's Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's not
Yeah.
much more to say.
yeah, 3 albums,
on
unfortunately.
the album. And I feel like he did that only like 2 years, maybe. I don't know.
Crazy
Like,
how we do that.
yeah, 2 years. Very fast.
Yeah, it wasn't a long time.
Mhm.
He did 2 of them in 1 year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, 67.
67.
And then Electra Lane came out in 68.
68.
yeah.
Yeah, that's insane. Yeah, I mean, if he would have lived, man, how many good albums we would have gotten.
Yeah.
Yeah,
27
I guess
Clubs got another one.
You got 27. I guess so he's still older than you two, but I mean, to me, 27 is so young. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it is.
But he's got loads of songs on Spotify.
Yeah, like
was-
I know there's tons of live recordings out
I was
there.
gonna say, did he have other songs that weren't on albums?
Pretty,
I think it's-
I'm pretty sure.
He's got a song called 51st Anniversary. Or something like that.
Okay.
Like a bonus track, I think.
Yeah.
It's on Spotify, that one.
Okay.
But yeah, it was great doing this live show. I've been wanting to do it for a while. And again, I got Jason and Bry's channel in the description below. Please subscribe to them. I would appreciate that. And on Sunday, I'm actually going to a concert. Going to see Colin Hay.
Mhm.
Oh, nice.
He's the single man at work.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I recently went to a Beatles concert on my birthday. That was really great. But yeah, I really enjoyed doing this. Do you guys have any final words?
Trying to start to think of something.
Just the greatest guitar player, I guess, and
Yeah.
maybe the greatest psychedelic rock player, in my opinion. But
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll leave it here then. I appreciate you all watching. If you're watching after it's live, please let us know your ranking and your favourite Jimi Hendrix songs. Till next time, ciao. Bye.